Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today we're in a little island called Pulaway, just north of Sumatra, and last night we got really lucky. My mom found this little guy, should I say a big guy, on the floor being pestered by a bunch of cats. So I saved him, put him in a bag so I can show you guys, and then we'll release him after the video. As you can see, he's quite thirsty. When I put him on my hand, he started actually trying to get the moisture off my hand. So I've just grabbed him a little piece of watermelon, and he's busy sucking all the juices away. So happy little beetle. So here we have the Atlas beetle. This is one of the largest species of beetle in Southeast Asia, actually the second largest after the Chalcosoma beetle. And what an incredible specimen it is. So the Atlas beetles or rhinoceros beetles exhibit quite a lot of sexual dimorphism. The males are a lot bigger than the females and possess this incredible horned appendages on their heads, which are used for male combat. Males reach between around 9 to 11 centimeters in length, and the females between around 4 to 5, maybe 6 centimeters in length, and don't possess any of these horns. Now, smaller males can also occur and still reach adult maturity, but not the full size of 11 centimeters, at which point that's a disadvantage for breeding and for fighting. They won't take on one of these big guys. So when they aggregate around a wounded tree or a fruiting tree or somewhere where they're collecting sap and courtship begins, the males will actually start fighting, or similarly sized males will start fighting, at which point smaller males will sneak off and try and breed with the female. So they're always getting their chance to be able to spread on their genes. Now, as you can see, he's chomping on this watermelon. These guys are nocturnal beetles, so they fly around at night and will aggregate around either fruiting trees or wounded trees which are busy leaking sap. And it's at this point where males will look out for females, and that's where breeding will begin. And that's when these beautiful appendages come into play. The males will then battle for females. Similarly sized males will fight each other quite aggressively as the Hercules beetles in South America. So it's a real battle, and they can actually damage each other quite badly. But the object of the game is to be able to either flick the other male off the tree or to get him out of position of a female. And look at how he's enjoying that watermelon. It's absolutely incredible. So these guys occur throughout Malaysia and Indonesia, throughout these islands, and they're called Atlas beetles. And it is truly a magnificent specimen. And there's a difference between the two species, the two larger species of these beetles. The Chalcosoma has actually a little horn right in the middle of this one that's attached to the head. These two are on the thorax, and that's the differentiating means to be able to tell that this is an Atlas beetle. They're slightly smaller than the other species by about 2-3 centimeters, but still a very impressive insect. Truly incredible to be able to see such a specimen. I mean, look at that guy. It's literally like a Triceratops type insect, a living Triceratops, and what an incredible beetle it is. Now you can see these heavily recurved little claws that are actually quite painful. If they're hooking onto you, it's like little tiny nails pulling into you, and you can feel their strength. It's absolutely incredible how strong they are, being able to cling onto their females. They're actually quite aggressive as well, sometimes during the breeding with the females, and can sometimes damage or hurt them due to their extremely strong reproductive response. Atlas beetles, their reproductive cycle is quite interesting as well. Once they breed, the female will lay around 50 eggs in some leaf litter, in a hole or in a rotting log, at which point it will take between 15 to 18 months for that to become an adult beetle. The larva has 3 instar stages, so 3 different stages of molting, which will be about 12 to 15 months, underground. Then they'll pupate, which is about a 2-month period, and then out will come an adult, which will live between 3 to 5 months. Now the males live slightly less long than the females do, so the males are ranging between 3 to 4 months and the females between 4 to 5 months. So it's a really short cycle in comparison to the development stage. So the Atlas beetles are purely vegetarian, feeding on wounded tree, on tree sap, on fruiting trees, rotting little fruit and things like that. Anything sweet with a little bit of moisture and nectar, these guys will be on it. And that's where they will aggregate and find their mates. Now, another cool adaptation is that not all males actually reach the same size. So there's different forms of development depending on what environmental conditions there are. The males can be either a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger. If you get like this, you get these really large males with these horns that actually start recurving. That's an example of a really big male, and a smaller male will actually not recurve and will maybe be half the length of these ones. You would think that these would actually be used for defense, but they're not. They're used for male combat, as well as being able to get through log hollows and go through some really tough leaf litter and be able to push through it or even evade predators. They evade predators as well by being completely nocturnal, and these guys actually fly really well. Underneath these wing carapaces, they've got these big wings that fold out, and that's how they'll spread around and fly out and find mates and new sources of food. But the rhinoceros beetles, or specifically these guys, are some of the strongest animals proportionally to their size. If this animal were to be able to lift what we can lift, or if we could be able to lift what it can lift, which is between 600 to 800 times its own body weight, depending on the species of rhino beetle, that would be equivalent of us lifting 65 tons. Now, you'd think big animals like an African elephant would be able to lift a really large mass, but they can only lift about 25% of their own body weight. So if they were to be as strong as this guy, they'd pretty much be able to lift almost 65 or up to 85 elephants on their back. So incredible strength of these animals, and it's actually mind-blowing to be able to think that this guy can carry up to 800 times its own body weight. Absolutely incredible. So as a defense mechanisms, if humans ever do pick them up, they're not poisonous, they're not dangerous. These guys, they can't actually hurt you. They can exhibit a little bit of a force between here. If I were to push here and he were to lift his head, he could pinch my finger a little bit, but not intensely so. But what they do is they can actually do little hissing noises, which they will rub their back little wing parts onto their abdomen and make a hissing sound, which could deter people from picking them up. Generally, the safest way to pick up one of these beetles, because of their very recurved little hooks on their feet, is actually just below these two little horns, and it's easy to pick them up and relocate them. Quite often these guys are attracted to lights, so they'll fly into urban areas or into a garden, and that's what I found last night. This guy was getting attacked by some cats, so I gently removed him out of there to be able to save him. Hopefully he'll be okay. He doesn't seem to have much damage, but I picked him up by the horns so you don't get hooked by all these little claws, and we'll release him after this video. So Chalcosoma beetles, which is the genus of these guys, which is rhinoceros beetles from Southeast Asia. They're incredibly beautiful animals with these 3 horns. There's quite a lot of similarities, so it can be quite difficult to tell them apart. But you can see this beautiful, almost metallic luster that they've got over their body, these heavily recurved little feet, and this beautiful, beautiful face with these big, big, big eyes. And what an incredible species it is, and I feel privileged to be able to find one. We've seen a couple buzzing around and flying around, and I've just wished that one would land near me, and we were lucky enough to find one last night. So on that note, guys, if you liked this video, please do hit the subscribe button, hit that notifications bell, and remember to stand for what we stand on.